Yo. So I got a package in the mail, and it's got some interesting stuff in it. Major shout out to Supercell for sending this our way. I knew from the second I saw those Starr Park stamps on the outside of the box that this was going to be a pretty big deal, and it's even bigger than I think any of us could have imagined. Now, as far as what we already know, I'm not going to go over that in too much detail, although I do want to bring up just a few things because they're going to relate to the theories I'm going to talk about later on in the video. Then I'm going to be going over exactly what came in my package. I'm not going to do a whole unboxing and everything. I just want to get you guys the information, and then hopefully you can come up with your own theories on exactly what's going on, because I know today is pretty chaotic and you probably have watched a lot of other YouTubers' videos on what they got in their boxes. Now, if you're not totally clued into Starr Park and what we currently know, including a website, then I definitely recommend you take a look at Gamba's post down in the description below. I'm going to go ahead and link it for you guys because there's a ton of information on what exactly is going on, what the storyline behind all of this is, and sort of just the mystery that we're trying to figure out with all of these packages and all of this information we've been given. Just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, basically Gamba was given a package. It had a laptop, it also had a t-shirt, and one of these crowns that says Starr Park on the back of it. Now, when he got the laptop up and working, he was able to go to a website called starrpark.biz. Again, make sure if you're going to the website, you do STARR because Starr is spelled with 2 R's. But with that said, starrpark.biz is a very interesting website. There's a lot to figure out and unpack here. There are coins in several of these photos in the gallery, which definitely could mean something, or it could be a red herring. There are just tons of items here, and all of them have the Starr Park logo on them. I really don't know exactly what the significance of all of them are going to be. There's obviously in any mystery going to be some type of red herring that sort of puts you off on a path that you're not going to end up at the final results at. But with that said, obviously we have to figure out some things here or we wouldn't be given access to this website. Just like the mini games with 8-bit, there's something more than meets the eye. But next up, we've got to talk about something very, very interesting, and I definitely think that that is going to be the next step to figuring out exactly what's going on with this entire situation. Now, if you guys have taken a look at Gamba's post, he actually mentioned that he sent an email to the webmaster, which you can go ahead and do as well. Anyone can do it, and I'd imagine that you're probably going to have to get a different response by sending the webmaster a specific email at some point in the future that we're probably going to figure out with everybody's packages put together. The email that he got back from the webmaster is as follows, and you guys can go ahead and get that as well if you email the webmaster. The subject line is "Your patience is forever appreciated." It says, "Your email has been received in the correct order, but some, the S being capitalized in some for some reason, things have come to light and communications now cannot be trusted or even believed. Keep your soul bright." Now, that's definitely written in broken enough English that I can spot that there's probably something more than meets the eye with this specific email. What I'm talking about is most likely going to be some type of code talking. Now, if you guys don't follow these types of ARGs or mysteries very often, alternate reality games basically use codes to go ahead and give you clues to the next thing or the next task, whatever it may be, and in this case, I think we're probably looking at some type of code. Unfortunately though, I haven't been able to figure out this code. I've tried cracking it in a number of different ways, and I have absolutely no idea how you're supposed to crack this thing, if you're even supposed to crack this thing at all. The S being randomly capitalized there in the sentence is definitely a huge clue that there has to be something more to this email, but again, I just don't know exactly what we're looking at here at this point in time. Someone else will probably figure it out before I do. Interesting thing to note here is that you're only going to get this email back from the first email you send to this email address, the starrpark.biz webmaster email address. You're not going to be able to get anything back after that unless, I guess, you figure out what the next step is, and if that means sending something to the webmaster, then maybe you'll get a different email back from that. I've seen this kind of thing happen with a few other ARGs, and basically what it usually means is you're gonna have to send an image or a code or a word or a sentence or something like that to the email address to get the actual response back that puts you onto the next task in the mystery. So apart from some Easter eggs and some other things that we'll go over later on in the video, basically that's about what you need to know to be up to date for what I'm going to be talking about for the rest of this video. Now, just a few quick things I want to note about the Starr Park website. First and foremost, looking at the first thing you see when you click on the website is going to be the grand opening ticket, but it is in a dust cover like you would expect with dollar bill collectors or things like that. They put them in dust covers so they don't get dust and exposed to the air and just natural issues that can arise from having a collectible sit out in the open air for a long time. So in this case, it is protected, and all of these websites' images also have a watermark on them, like they're trying to protect them from being used by other people. And this feeds a lot into what we're going to be talking about a little bit later on in the video. Just taking a look through all of these images, you're going to see that there are nice little captions under everything. Some of them are very interesting and definitely worth discussing. Others are just kind of weird. This image sure looks like a sculpture of Poco's head when he was alive, because obviously he's undead now. Not really sure what we're looking at here, but it is a little weird. I think the coolest thing and the most mysterious thing on this website might have to be the Project Laser arcade machine. If you guys take a look at it, you're gonna notice that there are some interesting buttons, a yellow, red, and I believe a blue button on the front of the machine that's barely pictured. Also, it says you can ask to see more photos, which I'd imagine is probably the next thing, the next clue we're gonna be getting, and that's probably gonna be from the webmaster, but we'll have to see. The next really interesting thing I found is the official Starr Park jumpsuit picture, and it smells like chemicals. That's the whole caption. So, interesting stuff there. It's dirty and it smells like chemicals. I have to imagine that's going to have something to do with what we're trying to figure out here, but again, I'm just not totally sure where it fits in yet. Another thing that I just have a feeling is extremely important to this overall mystery is going to be the bird not clean tag, as well as this stuffed bird that looks a whole lot like Mr. P. I also think it's important to notice here there are several coins off to the side. There's also some coins next to a gemstone picture that's earlier on in the website, which definitely could be pretty important as well, but again, it's something we just haven't put together yet and very well could be a red herring. Now, I want you guys to note on the bird not clean tag, it also has a 10-10 in the bottom right corner. I have to imagine that's probably going to be a date because October 10th is not too far away, just over a month from now, but it could be something else. We'll just have to see. Now, the caption for this image is plush penguin stuffed animal, first edition, upsetting conditions, small burn under right flipper. This has definitely got to be something, right? And I don't think we have all of the things we need to figure out exactly what this means, but it's got to mean something. So I'm definitely marking this down in my notes. Something I also thought was pretty interesting is that there's an advertisement for cactus socks, not spike socks, which is definitely something that's come back very, very often in Brawl Stars and in Brawl Theories. If you guys have watched all of Kairos's, you know spike socks have a lot of impact on this overall world of Brawl Stars. And we don't know exactly what the context of it yet is, but we're suspecting that it's got something to do with Spike being the Mickey Mouse of Brawl Stars. But with that said, this is a cactus motif sock. These aren't Spike socks, they're cactus motif socks. I don't know what that means. I genuinely don't, but they have the same type of design, the purple and green with the cactus on them. That's definitely very similar to the spike socks we see in current day Brawl Stars. So obviously there's something going on here, we just don't know what it is just yet. Another thing I think is very important to note here is that there is a coupon for a free slice of blueberry pie at El Brunchador, which is Starr Park's premier wrestling themed family restaurant, on this date, April 19th. If you guys didn't already know, the WKBRL stream started on April 19th, and that's a stream that's actually spoiled quite a few things from previous updates since then, as well as just gave us a lot of little tidbits to think about. Some very interesting things that definitely could come into play when it comes to figuring out this entire mystery as a whole. Another thing I want to mention is that this date was spoiled before the WKBRL stream even happened. If you guys remember back when the PSG challenge happened, we had this particular loading screen. It's a really cool loading screen showing them doing some Brawl Ball, having some fun. It's a cool loading screen, and I really liked this puzzle at the time. I really thought it was interesting that there was a 4:19 on the clock as far as like how much time is left in whatever this match is, because obviously Brawl Ball doesn't have 5-minute timers or even more than that at this point, so 4:19 was a little bit of a peculiar time code to have in this loading screen. So I thought there was something behind it, and it turned out that the WKBRL stream eventually started on 4/19, so that was definitely a neat little Easter egg there. So overall, as you guys can see, there's a ton of stuff to look at, a ton of stuff to figure out. I may have missed things, I may be misinterpreting the significance of things, but there's a lot going on. Next up, we're gonna head back to the first person that started all of this, which is gonna be Gamba, who again posted the first post about the package that he got in the mail. He was actually able to find an entirely different version of this website. With this new version of the website, we definitely have quite a few mysteries put to rest, and then some new ones popping up right behind it. For instance, at the Starr Park homepage, you're gonna notice it says, "We spent the last years collecting ephemera and images from the notoriously defunct theme park Starr Park, mainly from the 60s and early 70s, with some exceptions from the late 50s during the conceptualization phases of the park. We are very proud to share these works with you, divided into two categories entitled Galleries and Investor Video. We hope you can enjoy them as much as we enjoyed looking for them. Best, Webmaster." So this basically confirms that this website is entirely there as a sort of retrospective look at what they've found, okay? So they're going through the rubble, they're going through the destroyed, defunct park, and they're figuring out exactly what they can sort of preserve and take pictures of and show off to the world. Again, we don't know why they're doing that, but they are doing that for some reason. The investor video isn't working, which is unfortunate, but we're probably gonna see that at some point in the future. As you can see, the gallery page also doesn't work, unfortunately, so we can't see those photos that are missing from the original website either. One other thing that's really important to mention here is that it does have a Best of the Web Bronze Award from 2003. Now, I'm sure that date is gonna come into play at some point, but for right now, all we know about that is that it sort of is an award given to online museums that work in preservation of things. So in this case, it's the preservation of a now defunct notorious theme park called Starr Park. Before we move on to what I got out of my package, I think we really need to take a look at this, because in the assets folder for the Starr Park folder, which you can download by going to Gamba's post and going to his Dropbox, you can get it yourself and take a look at it and see what I mean. You're going to see all the different assets that the website uses. So the Best of the Web Award, the email button, the home icon, etc., etc. There's everything you can expect to see on the website, except for these star images. Star 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7 are not actually included anywhere that I can find on this website, which is really weird. If you found out some way to access them by just clicking around on the website or something, please let me know how you did it down in the comments below, because I'm really interested to see what you need to do to make this happen. There are several different stars as well as a sort of explosion GIF animation, and I haven't found any way to make them pop up. Now we're gonna be going over what I got out of my package, and I'm really excited to show it off to you guys. First and foremost, what I showed you guys earlier, the crown that you can expect to see all around the game. Again, this is a real life crown, and it's from the Starr Park. Obviously, that is now confirmed. This is where they're coming from. Although it's interesting to think that this is an old theme park, so why are these crowns finding their way into the new Brawl Stars game? Next up, I got myself a Starr Park t-shirt. As you can see, it's very large. It does not fit me at all, unfortunately. But it is really freaking cool. So nothing else funny about this, just the Starr Park shirt that you guys can see if you go to the website, or, you know, Gamba got one as well. Gotta get close for this next one. Now, the next thing are a couple pins. These are like the Disney pins you guys can expect to see at Disney World, except they're Starr Park pins, and they're very creepy. This is Russian, and it says Mr. Cactus on it. I had to go ahead and figure that out. It took a hot minute to do that, but we did. We figured it out. It's Mr. Cactus. It's definitely the early version of Spike, if you ask me. He has a hat, not a flower, and let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Next up, we have got about the weirdest thing that I've seen so far, apart from the mask, which we'll get into that because that just threw me off, man. That totally threw me. This is like full-on horror mode, but anyways, this is a Mr. P old school looking pin. I really don't know what to make of these guys, so if you have any suggestions on what this could mean, or, you know, based it off of what other people got out of their packages, please let me know. But I think this is really cool. It's just a little creepy, dude. Next up, I got this little card, and if you take a good look at this, it definitely is a 60s tour bus style bus, maybe 50s, maybe early 70s, but I found ones that were very similar to it that came out of the 60s, so that's what I'm going with. It's kind of cool. It says Starr Park on the side of it, but the other side is what you really want to pay attention to. So go ahead and take your screenshot now, because I'd imagine a lot of people got pieces of this overall puzzle. So if you screenshot this, you cut it out, throw it into Photoshop or Paint or whatever, then you're going to be able to build the full picture, I'd imagine. But this is basically just part of Daryl, I believe, or just another barrel, I guess, and also Poco's guitar. Pretty cool stuff. We'll have to see what the full picture looks like. And finally, guys, I saved the best for last. That is going to be the boxed Starr Park official character mask for the Happy Cactus. Not Spike, Happy Cactus. Do you want to point out here that if you take a look at the design of Spike on the front here, as well as Spike on, oh, that's upside down, as well as Spike on the back, you're going to notice that it definitely doesn't look like the pin that I held up earlier. It's got a more sort of friendly feel to it, albeit still very crazy, weird, and eerie. It's still off to me, but basically you guys can get an idea as to what we're looking at here on the the outside of the box is creepy too. So much fun, you'll never want to take it off. Yeah, okay, dude. So in summary, and another thing I think is really neat to note here is it says contains one cactus mask, saguaro suit not included. Saguaro is a kind of cactus, so that kind of confirms that Spike is a saguaro cactus. That may or may not have been confirmed in the past, but I haven't heard it before. Now, I think if we're going to be getting anything out of this, that it's probably going to be the back of the box, okay? See what's inside. Lifelike features, vision grade eye holes, molded to fit almost any face, fool your friends, speech ventilation, so all this fun stuff. The fool your friends is a little bit weird to me, but the rest of it's kind of just, you know, building up this mask like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, collect them all is very interesting. Jolly Prospector, obviously Dynamite, Mr. Skull. So that's two characters now that are going by Mr. Something. So there's Mr. Skull, there's Mr. Cactus, and then Mr. P obviously is in the current game, so Mr. P probably has something to do with it. Interesting that they noted anthropomorphic penguin. Why would they say it like that? Like, why wouldn't it just be Mr. Penguin? It's anthropomorphic penguin. That's probably Mr. P. I don't know if there's more to look into here in exactly what made this anthropomorphic penguin Mr. P. Maybe comes later on in this sort of event that happens, which again we're gonna get into. But the friendly bear is also interesting because friendly bear is just friendly bear. That's not Nita. Although Nita was pictured in several of the images that Gamba found. So we know Nita existed at that point, but this is just friendly bear. So were they not together at this point? Were they not a team at this point? Was something else going on that made Friendly Bear Nita?
Did Nita skin the Friendly Bear and then make the hat out of the Friendly Bear's face?
As you can see, there is a lot to talk about. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into my theories on exactly what's going on. First off, there are quite a few different pictures that are kind of alluding to certain brawlers with them. This includes Poco, Mortis, Rico, Bo, and Ems. And obviously, Mr. P is mentioned several times indirectly. There are also lunchboxes that are mentioned on that website, which is very interesting. There's a gun that looks a whole lot like Shelly's gun. We don't know if that's Shelly's gun or not, but it looks like it. Based on the second version of the website, I suspect that it's notorious because something happened and that made it shut down. However, this doesn't really explain why they're actually starting to make their way into the game as Starr now, and why the company would even be allowed to exist at this point in time. That doesn't explain Mr. P's involvement in everything, which we'll have to see. That doesn't explain this bird plushie that we have no idea what that means either, and if 10/10 happens to be related to something that we have to do, or if it's just a date, October 10th, that we're going to be getting a new bit of information. Another thing is there's a $?.rm post, and that actually shows you a neat little image viewer. You hold it up to the light and it shows you an image in the end of it. I'd imagine that is going to be sent back to us by the webmaster at some point in time when we send him the right code, which is probably going to be 5 letters or numbers that we're going to be getting from people's boxes. Again, we don't know exactly what that means. We don't know exactly how we're going to be getting it. That's my suspicions on it. It's also possible that using these cards, if we're able to put together a full image out of it, that we're going to get some clue as to what we do with this after that, and that could be the next step. Mr. P is a villain. We already know this dude has something going on with him because he's so similar to Gene in the way that they're very similarly modeled. It looks like Gene could fit into Mr. P. There's a zipper on his back, so we know he's in a suit of some kind. Obviously, there's a lot going on here, and I think Mr. P is back with a vengeance. I think he's a bad guy. I think he's a super villain. I think he probably had some very bad run-in with some brawlers and ended up getting his entire park shut down. I think that Starr Park originally went down in infamy, and that made it so the original mascot had to get thrown out. I think the original mascot was Mr. P, and I think that he's not too happy that he got thrown out. Spike the Cactus of today is obviously a much more warm character that people are going to gravitate towards because he looks so friendly and happy all the time than Spike of the olden days of the Starr Park originally. As you guys saw with the pin, the original Spike, if that is who he is a little bit unsettling and looks a little bit more like a pickle than anything else. His face looks weird. I mean, come on, he just doesn't look right. And if not for the context of the Mr. P or Penguin plush doll being a little bit off because it had the burn on it and it's disgustingly dirty and it's old, it would be a nice mascot type of design, to be completely honest. Between the plush doll, the tin lunchboxes, and then what we don't know as far as his zipper and things like that are concerned, I think Mr. P was one of the original mascots of Starr Park. I think that he originally was the sort of Mickey Mouse of the universe, if you will. And in this case, I think what happened was in infamy, obviously the park shut down. They were infamous. They were definitely not just this sort of shutting it down because we had a good run type of situation. It was something that was bad that happened that made them shut down, and that meant that the mascot needed to get thrown out. Then eventually, a few decades later, when everything sort of cooled down and they could come up with new designs and sort of modernize everything, they decided to open up a new Brawl Stars theme park. This is going to be the current Brawl Stars theme park that we play the game on, and they needed to bring up a new mascot because the old mascot had so many bad feelings associated with it from the shutdown and whatever bad thing happened to make it shut down with the old Starr Park. So they redesigned Spike, they made him the new mascot, they changed the name of the park, they made it so everything was different, clean, and modernized because obviously they found value in the old IP, the old designs, the old things that they were working on with Starr Park, but Mr. P was still there and still functional for some reason, and he's back with a vengeance. Does this mean that Mr. P is the webmaster? I'm not entirely sure. Does it mean that Mr. P is just a worker that worked at the old Starr Park or someone that was involved with the old Starr Park inside the Mr. P outfit? Who knows? We'll have to see. I'd imagine we're probably gonna get a lot more information to sort of piece together about all this. I think that about covers everything I wanted to talk about today. Obviously, I'm gonna be going over every bit of information that we got from all of the videos that we've seen come out today, as well as anything else that happens in the near future. Also, make sure you check out Kairos Time's channel because we're gonna be putting a ton of work in, piecing everything together, coming up with theories, ping-ponging ideas off each other, and figuring everything out, and I cannot wait to figure out what's going on in the Brawl Stars universe today and 50 years ago. So I will see you guys very soon for the next one. As always, have a fantastic day, and until then, guys, peace.